Welcome to Pop Culture Roulette for all your pop culture needs. We're America's podcast. All right, everybody. Welcome. I'm Nicholas. I am joined by. I didn't come up with anything because
Yeah, no,
I
no
tried.
zingers today.
I didn't come up with a zinger because I got thrown for a loop here. So just Justin. Jeremy is been kidnapped. We don't know where he is or who is taking him, but
We lack a certain set of skills.
we just whatever skills we do have are not involved in asset protection or asset recovery.
Nope.
So
And we don't have the financial means to recover him.
so hopefully by next week he'll be back.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we figured why not record an episode? Because we should be out there trying to find a way to get our friend back. But in the meantime, let's record a podcast.
Do you think the people at EA may have kidnapped him?
Possibly because they're tired of all of the smack talk that he gives them about their Madden series.
They do get his money though, so it's hard to say.
That is true. They probably don't care if he continues to bash them because he gives them $120 every year, at least.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Is the PC version more expensive or less expensive than the Xbox version?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. I mean, I don't buy one version of it a year, and he buys at least two.
Well, I usually buy one because I'll buy the PS5 version. So he buys himself the X or the PC version. He buys you the Xbox version, but he just keeps it.
Oh,
That's why he buys two.
wait, he buys me?
No, I'm just saying that's why he buys a PC and an Xbox one.
Oh,
That way
okay.
it's like you're buying one without actually buying one.
Oh, okay. I was say because he's never given me a copy of it.
Well, he buys it on digital,
Ah,
and then he probably can't figure out how to get it out of the system to give to you. So he just keeps it and plays it.
got it. Okay, I see. Yeah,
That was a lot more explaining than should have had to do for that.
I'm just so worried about the people who have kidnapped him that I wasn't there. So
Yeah, the well-being of our friend.
yeah. So well, good luck with the kidnapping. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully by next week we'll find out what's going on.
Yeah, and if we need a good lawyer, we know where we can find one.
Oh, we do, because we now know that Jennifer Walters is not only a good lawyer but a superhero.
Yeah, two things we may need in this situation.
Absolutely. I thoroughly enjoyed the first episode of She-Hulk. I think we can give somewhat of a spoiler-free review of it. I did enjoy getting some more backstory on Hulk.
Yeah, about what's been going on.
Yeah, what he's been up to. Kind of really quickly telling us what he was doing during the blip and how he went from the Hulk we saw in Ragnarok to the Hulk we saw at in Endgame. When he went from just
Hulk smash
to Smart Hulk. Yeah.
Yeah.
So also kind of gave us a little bit of the backstory just in general of how he became the Hulk, which I guess they did give us in the MCU because you do forget the Ed Norton version or the Ed Norton Hulk is a Hulk, like is an MCU movie.
Yeah. Keep the backstory, lose the rest of it.
Yeah. So I would say that it was a good first episode. I am curious to see where they're going to go with it. I think Titania might be like kind of the the pass-through villain, like the villain who shows up in every episode, but isn't necessarily the main villain.
Oh, was that her name that showed up?
Yeah. Um, so it'll be interesting to see more of what goes on there because obviously from the previews, Abomination is showing up, Wong is showing up, Daredevil is showing up. So you know,
I, I, I was gonna say I didn't watch many of the previews, but I knew Wong showed up. I didn't know Daredevil showed up.
yeah. So and I don't know how much Abomination is going to be in the show, because honestly, I feel like the Disney Plus shows at this point have just been set up for the Thunderbolts
Yeah, I could see it.
because I mean, they with Falcon and Winter Soldier, they was a setup to give us U.S. Agent. Um, somewhat with what was the one where oh Hawkeye was where they also showed up where Yelena Belova, Black Widow 2 or whatever you want to call her, she showed up. So I mean
I didn't watch any of Hawkeye.
Okay, well I didn't give anything away there, but
It's so long ago. It's on
Yeah.
me at this point.
but I mean Abomination showed up in Shang-Chi, but I mean clearly they're also having him show up in She-Hulk. So like they're setting up with the Julie Louise Dreyfus character, whose name escapes me right now. I know it's like 5 words long. It's a long name. It's Countess something or other. Blah 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 blah. I think they're turning her into the Amanda Waller of the Suicide Squad. Kind of because basically that's what the Thunderbolts is take.
Is the Thunderbolts going to be it's full length movie, or is it going to be a series?
I believe they said it was going to be a movie, like a full length movie. I mean, because
I was going to say with them, this is a good way to do it, to introduce some of these characters without having to tell a lot of a backstory into a movie.
right, that way when you have like the Suicide Squad introduce like 6 new characters, 8 new characters, however many, well, both Suicide Squad, rather than give like a 30-second description, you have an entire series where was it John Walker? But the guy who becomes U.S. Agent, the guy that was supposed to be replacing Captain America, but became, went bad real fast.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be, it's a way to introduce him and not have to give you a bunch of backstory. They introduced Taskmaster and Yelena Belova in the Black Widow movie, but then gave you a little bit more into the at least the Yelena Belova story in Hawkeye. And who knows what else. I mean, in the comic books, Luke Cage is a massive part of Thunderbolts, or at least that one version of the Thunderbolts was a massive part of it. And with them saying they're doing an 18 episode of Daredevil, don't be surprised if Mike Coulter and Kristen Ritter, maybe even Finn Jones, shows up at some point in that 18 episode run, because that's a long run considering most of the rest of the stuff that Disney Plus has done at this point has been 6 to 10 episodes.
What's going on with Punisher?
They've not said. I think Punisher is a little bit of a trickier issue right now. I mean, granted, if you can put Deadpool and Logan on Disney Plus, you can put Punisher on Disney Plus.
Well, I'm not even saying like with it not being on there, but like, is that character going to be coming back into any of this stuff? Because I thoroughly enjoyed that series. I liked him in Daredevil.
Yes. I would assume as much because it seems that they after they got all those shows off Netflix and then they put, because didn't they put them all up on Disney Plus? Punisher, I know they put Daredevil and Luke Cage and all that stuff. I want to say they put the entire Netflix run up on Disney Plus.
I think so, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah. Punisher has become a bit of a problematic character because of what all the idiots in the real world have done with his logo. Fair. So, they kind of had to restructure his character a little bit in the comic books. Hopefully, they don't try to do anything stupid like they did in the comic books, which like because I was reading The Punisher, it was a really good series, and then well, it's been in the last 10 to 15 years that they did it because I have to remember when I stopped reading. But they basically turned Frank Castle into Frankenstein's monster. They killed him, but then rebuilt him it was so
Why?
stupid. Because they were like, we want to do something different. And it killed the book. I mean, people stopped reading. I mean, I stopped reading it. And then 3 or 4 issues later, the book got canceled altogether. I'm not saying that I'm the one that got it canceled, because I'm saying that there must have been a lot of other people who had the same exact, nah, I'm good. I want my Frank Castle to operate on the outside of, still be good, but still operate on the outside of being right sometimes.
Yeah, I didn't read much of the comic book series, but I really enjoyed that stuff. So I hope they do something and bring him back.
Well, because I remember he was they kind of involved him in the Civil War series, and he wanted to sign up for, I don't remember if it was pro or anti, but Captain America ended up knocking him out because he was like, I can't, I might agree with your what you say, but I don't agree with how you do it.
It's fair.
So anyway, I would say one episode in, I'm giving She-Hulk. I mean, I was probably going to watch the entire run anyway, but I really enjoyed the first episode. There was only one part of it that I was a little bit when she gave that whole monologue about how hard it is to be a woman, and that makes it she controls her anger so much better. I was like,
Yeah.
got a little preachy, but they didn't that wasn't that had that been the tone of the entire episode, I would have been like,
Yeah, all right, that's enough of this.
But that was just that one quick 15 seconds, and I was like, okay, I can live with that.
Yeah, the hardships and the struggles.
Yeah. So anyway, we were discussing video games there a little bit. I know this would have been more of a story for Jeremy, but since he's not here, he's been kidnapped. Do you play the GTA series at all?
I do play it. I've played quite a bit of it, but I've never really done the story mode.
Okay.
I, for some reason, don't have the attention span to actually sit down and do those. I just like to just drive around for 10, 15 minutes. I don't know if it's the attention span or those are some long stories.
I have also never done it. I'm just not that good at that kind of video game. So because there's been a few times where the Game Pass stuff has been download the game, get 10 kills, or play for an hour, blah blah blah. And I can't, I'm not good at the driving games. Right. So if it was just running around shooting people, I'd probably be better at it, but whatever. I give up real fast. So I'm guessing that means neither of us cares that they're gonna make the next one a female protagonist. The main character is gonna be a woman.
I'm okay with it. I just hope they're going to continue what they've done with some of the stuff I've seen with how the stories are, because the games themselves have good stories and good character development. I just hope they are going to stick with it, which I think they will. I hope they will.
Yeah, but since I've never really played the game seriously, I don't know if I honestly care. I just saw that and I saw everybody was kind of like, eh. A lot of basement whiners.
As I said, do you think that's going to increase, decrease, or not affect the sales at all?
I think what they might lose, they also might gain. So it'll probably be a net nothing. There might be a few people who are like, oh, a female protagonist. Oh, finally look at this series. And then, the basement dwelling nerds who are like, how dare you put a woman in my game? I think that, you might You might,
Yeah.
cancel the two out. It's like all the people who are like, how dare you make, superhero movies with women?
I can't play with a woman in real life. I don't want to play with one in the game.
Yeah, well,
Oh my.
get get out of the basement for once, and maybe. Anyway, um, all right. They finally gave us a date for the Weird Al movie,
Okay, what do we got?
November 4th.
Oh, that's coming up.
Yeah, it is. I'm excited.
Has anything else been announced with it? Trailers or casting besides?
Not from what they've already shown us. Like they haven't given us any more than just that quick teaser trailer of Daniel Radcliffe as
Weird Al.
Weird Al, and then I know they had, I can't remember who they. I honestly can't remember who they had cast as Madonna, but I know they had a Madonna character in the movie. I'm interested. I mean, granted, go back a few episodes when we talked about the Weird Al concert the three of us went to, and I think you'll know where all of us stand on the Weird Al aspect. So,
Evan
Rachel Wood.
Wood.
Yeah, there we go.
Rainn Wilson.
Okay, who's Rainn Wilson playing?
Dr. Demento.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Julian Nicholson. Not sure who that is. Toby Hoss. Yeah, there's a lot of other ones that I'm not really sure who some of these people are.
It might be some of those like, oh, I know who that guy is. Oh, that's his name. Oh,
Could very well be. This guy looks like Dog the Bounty Hunter.
and does it say who they had cast for Jim Bermuda Schwartz? Because I assume that he.
No.
I figure they.
Real name?
You have a Roku, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't. Yeah, and I don't know if Jeremy has a Roku. Maybe the kidnappers will give him one.
There's a guy cast as Hulk Hogan.
Why is
What?
Why is there a Hulk Hogan in the Weird Al movie?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. There's a guy in here who's cast as Coolio.
Okay, that one makes sense.
Yeah.
Because
I didn't know who Toby Hoss was until I just seen a picture of him without his beard, and I was like, "Oh, it's that guy."
see, I told you.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll definitely check it out. Is this going to be one in theaters, or is this going to be one of those streaming?
I think because Roku's the one that was making it, that it's just going to the Roku channel.
Interesting.
So I'm not, which is really big for them. I think that's interesting. IMDb has Evan Rachel Wood listed ahead of Daniel Radcliffe.
Well, to be fair, Daniel Radcliffe's got that Harry Potter money.
Yeah,
he's probably not the top billed guy.
Thomas Lennon is going to be in the movie, but it doesn't have a character name attached to him. So that must mean that they are trying to keep his
identity.
Yeah, like they can't hide that he's in the movie, but they can hide who he is.
Right.
They have an Oprah Winfrey.
Okay.
Okay, the guy they hired for Hulk Hogan, I can see it.
He looks like a meathead.
Yeah.
But what does Hulk Hogan have to do with Weird Al?
I don't know. I'm kind of. I mean, I know that there's other guys than Jim Bermuda Schwartz in the Weird Al band, and they have been with him from the beginning. But so they're not going to be offended if they're not in the movie because they weren't in UHF. But I would assume as much that Okay. Well, speaking of Madonna and Weird Al, did you see that she has decided, because they've been trying to make a Madonna biopic like they did for Elton John and Queen and Johnny Cash and all those, basically the whole host of biopic movies they make about, famous artists.
No, I did not see anything about that.
Okay, yeah, well they've been trying to make one for a while, and it's never gotten off the ground for whatever reason. And she has decided that she is going to just direct it herself because she can't handle us misogynistic men to do it right.
I'm sure she could find a female director that could easily do this then.
Right, that's what I was thinking. Like, okay, great. Like, you don't want to have that happen. You want to be in control of your story and make sure it gets told the way you want it to get told. I'm totally on board with that. I understand. But I mean, maybe hire a director.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
Who knows
plenty
what
of
they're doing.
yeah, there's plenty of them out there. Although I'll have to pull it back up. I did at one point, because when I was writing that down a couple weeks ago, I did look up the fact that she has directed a couple of movies, which I was like, really? Like I never heard of, and I had never heard of them. Let me pull it back up here because you'd think
Yeah.
being that we're professional, we would.
I mean, yeah, I don't really have too much of an interest in this.
No, I don't.
I'd like to know some of the other things she's directed before I make an assumption here.
She directed a movie called Filth and Wisdom back in 2008.
Okay.
Claims it's a comedy centered on three roommates living in London.
Wouldn't that be flatmates then?
Well, yeah, I translated it. And then she directed a movie called W.E., which was centered on King Edward VIII and Wallace Simpson. So, yeah, I mean, I can't say I've heard of either one of them.
It sounds like it might be some artsy fartsy crap.
Yeah, but so I guess she's not completely, she's done two movies, so
she has some stuff under her belt.
So maybe she can. I just don't know if like directing a movie about yourself. I don't know. I mean,
right. I feel like if you want to make a good movie about you and your struggles and successes, and you want people to actually go and enjoy and get like a sense of who you are, you get somebody who has the chops to do it.
Right.
Whether it's male, female, robot, alien.
I would like to see a movie directed by an alien. It would be interesting to see that.
Fair.
Yeah. I believe we maybe have talked about it in the past, but like if we lived in the Star Wars universe, like what's on TV? Like, is there TV in the Star Wars universe? Like, you're flying around on a spaceship, like, do you just sit there and stare at the wall? Like, clearly you have some sort of like entertainment device,
right?
Like what
besides listening to what is this, a Cantina band?
Oh yeah,
over and over and over and over.
Or playing that 3D chess game that Chewie will rip your arms off over.
I would play the 3D chess game. I'm not very good at chess, but I would definitely play it.
Yeah, I mean, since I'm not very good at it, I would probably let the Wookiee win. Actually, I don't know if I'd let him win. He'd probably just win.
Yeah, I'm too competitive to let him win, but I'm not good enough to actually win.
So,
either way, I'd keep both of my arms.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I have wondered that in the past because like I was watching Clone Wars, I think, or maybe Rebels, one of those two, and they had like a news report, like they saw something on like some sort of screen, and I was like, never dawned on me that like this, like they just go skipping around from planet to planet, like surely like there's an entertainment industry somewhere. I mean,
they have to have some downtime to do something,
right? So
not everyone is what, Jedi or
Right.
Evil.
So,
I
yeah.
can't think what the evils were called.
The Empire,
Sith Lords and
the Sith
Jedi's.
Lord. Yeah. I mean, there's just probably a large amount of people who just go about their day-to-day lives not dealing with Jedi or Sith. Like,
Right. They see all this stuff going on. There's probably that guy who's like, I've never seen either of those in my life.
oh, they finally came to this planet.
I'm just growing this cabbage.
Oh, man, I don't have a good way of transitioning to either of the next two stories. So, Fantastic Four. I mean, since we skipped right over, we probably should have talked about this back when we were talking about She-Hulk. Fantastic Four story. They've announced. They haven't announced the cast yet. There a lot of belief is that they have already completely cast it, and they're just waiting to announce it any day now. Probably at whatever their D23 thing is here in a little bit. But they did say it's not going to be an origin story.
Good. We don't need one.
Right. I mean the joke we've been making other podcasts that I've been involved with have been making that we don't need to see Thomas and Martha killed again. Like,
how'd you go from Fantastic Four to Batman?
Well, it's like
I got you. You don't need to see it. We know what's going on.
Right.
We know the story.
We've had 3 Fantastic Four origin movies. We don't need it again. Now, granted, one of them was never officially released, but it's easily enough to find, the Roger Corman one. You can find it if you want to watch it. We know the story. Like, we've had the cartoon, we've had the movies. We can just give us a new cast and start kind of like they did with Spider-Man. Like, we don't need to see Uncle Ben die again. We'll just start, somewhere in the middle and pick up the important parts as we go along.
Yeah.
So I'm 100% on board with that idea that, we're not going to get the origin story. We're just going to get a Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Eventually, you got to be done. If you don't know the origin story by now, that's on you.
Yeah, and there are a lot of, and again, this is probably when we should have talked about it back with She-Hulk. There's a lot of people, making rumors or saying that Ben Grimm might show up on She-Hulk. But, these are probably the same people in the same rumors that said that Mephisto was going to be the main bad guy of WandaVision. So, we should all take internet rumors with a grain of salt and then not get mad when they don't come true. Because, they're internet rumors.
Right.
We could start one whenever we wanted.
Yeah, if you read it on the internet, it's got to be true.
Right. Well, speaking of things that we did read on the internet that are 100% true, Batgirl. Yeah, so you are aware of that controversy. I don't know, man. What they keep saying that, like, part of it was like, it's a restructured, like Warner Brothers and Discovery have merged and they're restructuring. So, like, they just were like, we can write this $90 million off. So we'll just never release this movie. I don't believe for a second that movie will never see the light of day. You don't have a movie of that caliber that doesn't eventually find its way out.
Yeah, somewhere, somehow.
Yeah. Whether it gets leaked and then it just makes it a way around the
I noticed when you said leaked, you did not use air quotes.
Because it won't be an accident. It will.
Yeah, quote when it gets quote unquote leaked.
Yeah. Because that's how we got that Roger Corman Fantastic Four. It got out of the studio somehow. And then it made its way around the convention circuit. People had tapes. I still don't think they've ever actually officially released it, but it's easy enough to find if you want it. Like, I think it's on YouTube in its entirety, and Marvel or whoever owns it never bothered to be like, take that down. And they're just like, whatever. It's out there.
Yeah.
I don't believe that you spend 90 million and get Brendan Fraser and Michael Keaton and some of the other people that they got in that movie and then just never release it.
No, there's no way.
You know, especially with everything going on with Ezra Miller,
Yeah.
which I don't know how far into that we want to go, but Ezra Miller in his personal life has made it damn near impossible for them to release the Flash movie. Because the Batgirl movie, the report was that they've spent 90 million on it already, and it's apparently was just bad. It was awful. Which for Warner Brothers to say this is awful, it must have been pretty bad because look at the ones they did release. But basically, they were like, we're going to have to put so much more money into fixing this that it's just not worth it. From everything I understand, it was pretty much in the can. I don't know if they still had like CGI and some of the finer points of the graphics to finish, or if it was really just like, because I think they were done with all the shooting. Like, I don't think it wasn't like they were like a week away from being done shooting and they're like, shut it down. Like, it sounded like everybody was already off set.
Yeah, everything was wrapped and
everything was wrapped. So, I mean, I couldn't find an exact article, but I know that it's happened a lot over time where there have been movies that for whatever reason they said, we can't release this. And then 3, 4, 10 years later, it got released. Like they finally were like, let's just quietly sneak this back out.
yeah, enough stuff has already come out that we can just kind of be like, oh, here you go.
And
we're not gonna make you pay for it.
And they're gonna have to, at some point they're gonna have to, do something to, keep their streaming service alive. And a couple years from now, they're gonna be like, the movie you thought would never come out, finally coming to Disney, HBO, Discovery Plus,
Warner Plus.
Or, so I don't know. I mean, it's it's a matter of I don't believe for a second that it will never see the light of day.
Yeah, it's very sad to as someone who's always been a fan of like the DC stuff, the comics, the cartoons, the games, some of the like original Batman stuff, that DC is just constantly falling short.
They're just shitting the bed like it's nobody's business.
Yeah, like they don't own the bed.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand how you can be that good for as long as they were and then just like completely fall apart. And I don't know, and you can't blame Zack Snyder for it. I mean,
it's not for all of it. I wonder if you can go back and look to see around the time where things just went sideways for them, to see if there was like a change in like a VP of marketing or just a general VP, like if there was some kind of structured change right around the time and be like, that's it. That's where it went wrong.
I bet you if we did the deep dive into it, we could probably figure that out. People smarter than us have probably done it. Because I mean, when you look at it, like you can't say, well, Batman or Robin, almost killed it, because you do have, Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises come out. And those, especially the Dark Knight, I mean, all three of those movies are pretty good, but the Dark Knight is one of the finest examples of a comic book movie ever made. Somehow, shortly after that, or around the same time as that, and like I said, I know you can't blame Zack Snyder for it entirely because there's got to be other people involved there. But I mean, you can almost blame Marvel for DC's failure because DC was just, and I think part of the DC problem is that for so long Warner Brothers has just been obsessed with Batman and Superman,
Yeah.
and they, for whatever reason, never really tried to play with their other characters until more recent.
Yeah, I'd say the little they did was mostly in the animated stuff.
Right. I mean, they've done some really good animated movies.
Even like the TV show, like Justice League animated, they deal with a lot more of those characters, but it's
Right.
just the animated version.
Yeah. So, like I don't know. I couldn't tell. Oh, hey, look at that.
Yeah, you can see me again.
Because I mean they did Green Lantern and that was obviously god awful.
Yeah, I don't want to remember that one existed.
But I feel like, they did the three Batman movies and Nolan said he was done and Bale said he was done. And then around the same time that was ending, they started Man of Steel with Henry Cavill. And then instead of going, all right, well, let's look over and see what Marvel was doing. And they saw, because Marvel, we're not going to retread the whole thing, but Marvel built their way up to the Avengers.
Yeah.
They earned the Avengers, and the Avengers made them all kinds of money. And Warner Brothers went, well, why can't we do that?
Yeah, we want all kinds of money.
And so they tried to skip the hard work. Like they didn't go, okay, well, let's just copy what they did. Let's start at zero. We'll take Man of Steel. Like people didn't necessarily like it as much as we wanted to, but at least, but they didn't hate it either. So let's build off of that, restart, Green Lantern, start up Wonder Woman, start up Aquaman, start up Flash, do Cyborg, build it back up, and then bring a new Batman back in and do the Justice League and make this like a 10-year plan. They just went, fuck it. Let's go right for the Justice League.
Yeah.
Where Marvel earned the ability to make the Avengers by building the characters and making them people that you actually cared about. I know there's a lot of people who are like, well, Iron Man was a B-list character before Robert Downey Jr. Bullshit. Stop it. There was a reason why they started with Iron Man, because he is a very well-known character. He had a number of animated series. He had video games.
Yeah, so he was in what, Captain America and the Avengers for like
right.
Super Nintendo?
Right. You go back and look at every Marvel video game prior to, the MCU, and Iron Man was, unless it was just a Spider-Man game.
Or
Iron
X-Men.
Man, yeah, or X-Men game. Iron Man was part of it. I wouldn't say he was never like maybe, because you've got the pantheon of characters. If you go anywhere, you talk to your parents, I use my mom as an example. If I showed her a list of characters, she would be able to identify Spider-Man. She would be able to identify Superman and Batman. Those are your top three. Those 1, 2, and 3 in the comic book world. There's a small chance that she would have been able to identify Iron Man prior to the movies. There was a Black Sabbath song. I
am Iron Man.
All right. So it is, I know people love to say, well, he was a nobody character. He was nothing. He was B-list or C-list. I mean, he was pretty big in the Marvel world, in the Marvel comic books before the movies. The movies just, helped cement him even further.
Right. That iconic character.
Yeah. But, so I don't know. I don't know where DC falls apart. I don't know if it's just because they were so envious of what Marvel was doing, or because they were like, look at what Marvel's doing. Zack Snyder, you do it. Or, I don't know. It's hard to say. But, anyway.
So I'd say the Flash movie, never coming out.
Man, I don't know, because they've spent even more on that movie than they did on the Batgirl movie.
Right.
I would say that something that you would have to look into doing, they've done it with other movies, never with the main character of the movie.
Oh, just
But
reshoot everything with him.
because you don't have to reshoot the movie, you basically just have to find an actor who is about the same size as Ezra Miller, and then have him just kind of get on a green screen and redo the motions, and then just put his face over everything.
Bring back the one from the TV show.
Yeah, Grant Gustin, why not?
Yeah,
Um,
that's
I
what
don't
they
know.
should have done. They should have used that Green Arrow, that Flash.
Yeah, I mean that is something also. Like they were like, we've also got this super successful TV world that we're gonna completely ignore.
Yeah, like all the stuff they did on the TV. Their shows were good. They
I
did good
actually
casting. There's good writing. But then when it comes to the movie, they're like, we forgot what we were doing here. Scrap it all.
I don't I don't know how true this is. Because the internet does say things that is, all over the place. Um Now this part is true. The new president of HBO Discovery, whatever they're calling themselves, the guy who canceled the Batgirl movie, has said that he wants Superman back in the DC universe. Um, he wants a Kevin Feige like character, and they're trying to hire them and get him into place. He wants a 10-year, a hard set 10-year plan, and they want to, because they said, he's saying the DC movies have been all over the place, and they need to fix it. They need to figure it out. One of the rumors was that they were courting or have hired Greg Berlanti to take over the movie side.
All right.
I mean, he did a fairly decent job with the TV shows,
Yeah.
but I mean, you could also make the argument that he also CW, and I don't know if it was they CW'd up those characters because they were on the CW, or if that's the kind of person that Greg Berlanti is. I mean, he obviously
I'm
has
hoping it's because of the networks they're on, because they did the same thing with Constantine.
right.
He could have been so much more if he wasn't on, what was it, NBC?
Whatever bad network whatever wrong network he was on in the first place.
Yeah, that was like a sci-fi network or one of those.
No, it wasn't even sci. I think it would have
No,
been better if it had been on sci-fi.
That's I mean, it's one of those where it should have been.
Yeah.
That's like a sci-fi show where this is what's going on. You need to be able to go darker and
right,
more adult than what they tried doing.
Yeah. So who knows? My only fear with putting Berlanti in charge of the movies is that, there was just a lot of, being a little bit too teen friendly on the TV shows.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of stuff there at the end after Arrow ended, where I just kind of gave up on the whole Berlanti verse as a whole.
I gave up even before Arrow ended. Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow. I think they were all still on doing new stuff when I stopped.
Well, Arrow ended. I hung on to Flash for a little bit longer, and then that was also around the time that I canceled cable, and CW made it near impossible to keep watching the show because you couldn't just bank 3 or 4 episodes. No, because I had Hulu Live, and then I canceled Hulu Live. Hulu Live went from $25 a month to $60 a month.
Wow.
And so I couldn't bank 3 or 4 or 5 episodes and then burn through them in a weekend. If you got more than 3 episodes behind, you lost an episode. So I was like, oh, now I gotta wait for Netflix, and then a whole bunch of their off-screen nonsense happened, and I was like, yeah, all right, I'm just done.
And then flipping back and forth, okay, watch Arrow, Flash, Arrow, Flash.
Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah, it just got too much. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't.
Yeah. Well, did you, other than She-Hulk, did you watch anything recently?
Not that I could really think of. Trying to think of what I did watch. No, not really. Was I supposed to? Oh,
Not the.
I did watch Prey.
Oh yeah, okay. I watched that as well. I really really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was gonna say thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, and you can tell the people who didn't watch it on the review, like when you're reading the reviews. After I watched it, I could pretty easily pick out who hasn't actually watched the movie.
Yeah. Or who watched a little of it and went, "Oh, this is what it is."
Yeah,
Let me write my
because
review.
because they're like, oh, I can't believe how would you make this woman be? Well, you didn't watch the movie, did you? Like
Yeah, you might have taken in the first 10
you
minutes.
you watched the trailer and decided what the movie was before.
Yeah.
The same guys who are writing the exact same reviews about Captain Marvel, um,
They're just they're,
She
they're just
Hulk. You know,
erasing the word Captain Marvel, putting in She-Hulk, erasing
right?
She-Hulk. Literally the same, copy and paste.
Yeah, that same like what? How dare you? How dare you make Rey the most powerful person in Star Wars universe? So I mean, anyway, I guess that makes us oddly feminist on this episode. What are you looking for approval to be a feminist or?
No, I just got people moving around me.
Oh,
I don't need approval. I do what I
okay.
want.
All right. But yeah, no, I thought they did, have after I watched it, I was like, okay, now I want to see more, like not necessarily of that story.
But through other periods of time.
Right. But like, I mean, I saw people talking about like feudal Japan, so like samurais, that would be cool.
Yeah.
You know,
Maybe go to
Vi-
the Cretaceous or Jurassic periods, have them fight some dinosaurs.
okay, that'd be weird, but I'm for it. Um, the Vikings.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
The Huns.
And I think I don't know if we actually talked about this when we were recording or we weren't. It's hard to keep track. But even how they didn't like make the Predator so overpowering like he is now. Like they
Right.
did that good job of being like he's still evolving too. They're
Right,
still
and-
evolving.
And I watched it with Jess. And that was the first Predator movie she had ever watched. And so like later that day or like the next day we watched Predator. So I had sat down and watched Predator in probably 20 years. But I've seen it a number of times. So it wasn't like anything that happened in that movie was surprising.
You weren't shocked by any of it?
No, I was like, oh yeah,
What? That happens?
But like you could definitely see that the people who wrote Prey watched Predator a bunch because they moved his skill level or that his that not necessarily because it wasn't the same Predator, but they moved that species skill level down so that it wasn't the same guy who showed up with the rocket cannons.
Right. They kept some of it and then they dumped some of it down to make it be like, okay, he hasn't evolved or figured out this technology yet, which was good to see.
And then I skipped Predator 2. I do need to rewatch that one because it's been probably even longer since I watched that one and rewatched that Adrian Brody Predators movie.
Yeah.
Which I have to say,
it gets a lot more hate than it deserves.
It does. It was a lot better than I remembered it being. It still wasn't as good as the other two that I watched. But yeah, it definitely gets a lot of hate that it doesn't deserve. I do need to watch that other Predators one with Thomas Jane because I've never seen that one.
Keegan Michael Key, Thomas Jane,
yeah.
Olivia Munn.
Yeah, I can't remember. There's a bunch of Olivias and I can't keep them straight.
Who was dating Rogers? Olivia Munn?
I believe so.
Because it's that one.
Okay. Was Olivia Munn Psylocke?
Yes.
Okay. Then yes, it was her.
Okay.
Yeah. That's how we keep track of our Olivias. Which one was dating Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah. Which one was in this? Which one was in this?
What? The one that was dating Aaron Rodgers. Got it. Okay.
Got it.
Um, I did tweet Aaron Rodgers. I did not get a response.
I didn't either.
Um, I did say, "Hey, man, we see that you love Nicolas Cage as well. So if you want to go back a couple episodes and re-listen to that bracket episode, I did. Okay, there we go. We can talk about that. I did watch a couple of those Nicolas Cage movies that I said we were gonna. That I said that we took notes on. That we
Yes,
didn't
that
watch
we were
one.
like, oh my God, this is amazing. Move it
I,
on.
yeah. I watched Army of One.
That's the Bin Laden.
Yeah, the Bin Laden one.
Okay.
That movie is bizarre. Um,
Bizarrely good, bizarrely bad.
a little of both.
I wish I had the paper in front of me, but I don't remember what it beat.
I don't either. Um, I would say it probably got as far as it deserved to go.
Okay.
Um, it is a masterclass of Nicolas Cage just being weird. And based on what I could read later on after I watched the movie, it's not even as weird as the real guy was.
All right. Like it.
I didn't necessarily like the ending of the movie, but the first three quarters, 89, 80, 85% was pretty good, was enjoyable. What was that other one? Jiu-Jitsu.
Yes.
Yeah, we put that one a lot further than we probably should have. It was
bad.
Yeah, it was bad. There's a reason why people didn't talk about that one.
I started watching, oh God, what is it called? Primal?
Oh, that Gendy Tartakovsky show.
No, the movie, the Nicolas Cage one, where he's the guy on the boat with the
Oh
animals.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't gotten all the way through it yet, but that's another one where it's like, all right.
So maybe we put that one a little bit further than we should have.
Yeah, let me get more through it and I can have a better understanding.
Okay, I gotta watch that one. I mean, not a Nicolas Cage thing, but I recently finally decided to sit down and watch Only Murders in the Building.
Is that Hulu one?
Yeah, the Steve Martin Short, Selena Gomez show.
Yes, I've been meaning to, but haven't.
Well, I'll give you an indication of what I think about it. I started it Wednesday or Thursday night. I'm already halfway through season 2.
Okay, so it's bad. By your standards.
Yeah, I should have been writing scripts for stuff.
Future projects.
For future projects. I did manage to get one of the 2 scripts that I have a hard due date on done. But I probably should have spent a little more time starting the second script. But instead I've watched a lot of Only Murders in the Building.
Excellent.
So, without giving too much away. I mean, it's Steve Martin and Martin Short. You can't go wrong with those 2 guys. Yeah. And it does have a particular interest to us because it is about podcasts.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
All right.
It's funny. It's interesting.
What is that Martin Short movie he did where he's like a fairy, an angel? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I mean,
it's a really old movie. It's gonna bug me now. You go on with your thought. I gotta figure this out.
I do recommend that. I don't know. In continuing with my recent 80s obsession in the last couple weeks, I rewatched or watched 9 to 5 and Fletch because, again, when I think pop culture, I think 80s movies. So, there's that. I played a lot of Lego Star Wars in the last couple of weeks.
It's a Simple Wish.
I don't know that one.
It's Martin Short, Mara Wilson, who's the one who played that other Matilda.
Matilda?
Yeah, and Kathleen Turner.
Oh, okay.
It's from 97.
I mm, I can't say that I haven't seen it, but nothing about that is jumping
I,
off
I,
the.
I don't know why. I was like, what? What is the name of that movie? But there we go. That was gonna bug me.
Um, okay, well, I'm sure that Jeremy's being subjected to a bunch of new material, so maybe he'll have some stuff to bring to us because I'm quite positive his kidnappers will be tying him to a chair and making him watch nothing but new movies and
Yeah,
new TV shows.
fingers
So,
crossed.
um, but normally you bring us our morbid segment of the week. Do you have anybody you want to bring up or
I don't have the notes in front of me.
any
The
celebrity deaths
I know
recently?
I know what you're going for, but I can't remember the name, and I don't have the notes in front of me.
All right. Well, we have Anne Heche. She passed away because she got super wasted on cocaine, I believe is what they said, and drove her car through a house.
Ah,
So
so don't do that.
yeah, don't do that. Drugs is a hell of a thing. And
I don't even know. Is she another one of those where like, oh, that person?
I mean, she's probably more famous for her off camera stuff because she was dating Ellen for a while. But I mean, she's done a lot of movies. Um,
Let's see here.
8 Days and 7 Nights with Harrison Ford. She was in the remake of Psycho. She's
Ah,
done a.
Jesus. I'm looking through some of this. I have only seen one of these, and it's not the one you would think it is. It's My Friend Dahmer.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
That's
yes.
that's the only one I've seen.
Well, let's just give a quick highlight here. We got. We're not going to go through. We're not going to be doing an Anne Heche bracket anytime soon. So don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Um, she seems to be doing a lot more TV recently, but she was in Wild Card with Jason Statham.
We'll have to ask Jeremy how that one was.
Um, she did an HBO show called Hung that I can only imagine what that's about. Um, she had a cameo in The Other Guys.
Yeah.
Where's where she became famous? Here we go. All right, so yeah, John Q, Ally McBeal, Psycho, 6 Days, 7 Nights, Wag the Dog. I Know What You Did Last Summer, Volcano, Donnie Brasco.
Which one is Volcano the one with
I'm pretty sure that's the one with Tommy Lee Jones. Yeah, that's the one with Tommy Lee
yeah,
Jones.
okay, I've seen
Because
that.
that was when that one and Dante's Peak came out at the same time.
Right. That one I've seen. I enjoyed it.
She was in The Juror, Simple Twist of Fate, Milk Money, a movie that probably has interest by some people, Girls in Prison. Um, yeah, I mean, she's done a lot of stuff. I mean, she's been around, so you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, hopefully, if you have a drug problem, take this as a wake up call. With just because she's super famous and has way more money than we do,
Oh,
didn't save her. Didn't solve her problems. So
no.
please, if you're one of our listeners and you got a problem, please seek help. Like, don't drive your car into somebody else's house. I mean,
Yeah.
the fact that
Before it's too late.
yeah, the fact that she didn't kill anybody on her way out is a miracle. No, nobody but her was injured. So, I mean, it doesn't take away from the tragedy, but
Yeah.
and Vin Scully passed away since the last time we've done one of these regular episodes.
Okay.
You know,
Here's one of them where I'm like, okay, who's this?
The voice of baseball. He was the Dodgers announcers from he other than the name, he was one of the few things that went with them from Brooklyn to LA. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, when you think of the voice of baseball, like that is even though he was the Dodgers, so the enemy.
He is their Bob Uecker.
Yeah. Bob Uecker is the Brewers' Vin Scully.
Right. That's what I said. He is their Bob Uecker.
Because he literally called his first World Series at age 24, 25, like when they were the Brooklyn Dodgers. And then, the amount of history that he was involved in with baseball, because not only he didn't just do Dodger games, like he also did whatever network would have the World Series, like they'd bring him in just to do the World Series for a little while. I think he did college football or the NFL for here and there.
He did some golf, and some NFL as well.
Yeah, he was also in a couple movies because you can't do a movie about baseball without bringing in Vin Scully. He was one of those guys that if you followed baseball at all, you heard that voice.
Yeah,
that voice. Because it's like Bob Uecker. When Bob Uecker unfortunately passes away, it's going to be a very similar.
Don't end this episode by making me sad.
I'm hoping it's not anytime soon. I'm how old is Bob? 80 something?
Well, in that range. Bueller. He is 88.
88, yeah. So, man, that's crazy to think of Bob Uecker and Vin Scully doing. Man, just that would be amazing to find a job at that young of an age and then just be able to do that for the rest of your life.
Vin Scully was 94.
Man, good on him. Good life.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, then I guess if you
think it's a good idea to kidnap 1/3 of America's podcast,
or spend $90 million on a movie and then just decide not to release it, remember, stupid never walks alone.
Yeah.
Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and listen to an 80s Flick Flashback podcast once in a while, you could miss it. Do you love movies of a certain age? Do you miss the days of VHS tapes, VCRs, and the video rental stores? Does the thought of another 80s movie being remade seem inconceivable? My name is Tim Williams. I'm the creator and host of the 80s Flick Flashback podcast. On each episode, I'm joined by guest co-host to discuss one of the many movies released in the 1980s. We share our first-time watch memories, our favorite scenes, and even learn some behind-the-scenes stories about the cast and crew along the way. New episodes are released every other Friday on your favorite podcasting platform. So make like a tree, get out of here, and go listen to an excellent episode of the 80s Flick Flashback podcast. The ad is over. Go home. Go.